how would you, steer the Malay Muslim narrative in that direction towards a Malaysia?
I think it is that exact narrative which kills the Malays, regresses them for decades, and imprison them forever. The same people, to be honest, not the first time hearing this. I go back to my kawasan, I hear the same thing. Every time I take a photo with Hanayo, oh Allah, say, oh, she's about to Christianize you. She's never done that. I know she's scared of cats, that's it. But my answer, and on this part I don't mince my words, the same politicians who perpetrate this racist, divisive narrative are the ones who don't even trust our national schooling system, because they'll end up sending their kids for tadika in France and then primary, secondary school in Eton, but then say, oh, you cannot change our national education system. English is bad. Make our school more religious. They are hypocrites. These are the very same people who have tons of offshore accounts, and despite earning a salary of 16,000 or 25,000, which is a lot, but let's be frank, as MPs, but they have houses which are worth tens of millions and offshore accounts across the globe, who receive direct nego contracts for their brothers' children, and then say, oh, we need to help Bumiputra entrepreneurs. But in the end, they get hundreds of millions of ringgit of direct nego contracts. The reason why I dare to fight the battle, because I knew during my term in KBS, everything was done through open tender. That I was the first minister to declare all my assets. And above and beyond that, even when they wanted to go after me, they went to every single damn contract in KBS, and they couldn't find anything. So my answer to this narrative is that if you want to see Malays suffer, then perpetuate this. Because in the end, the same Malay politicians don't even trust the system which they want to perpetuate. Just to share one small experience. In cabinet, when we're talking about education reforms, about the need to increase contact hour for math, science and English, not just PPSMI, but increase the contact hour. People say it's about money, it's not. Do you know per capita today, education spending, we outspend Singapore and Japan per capita. Yet, our PISA ranking is much lower. What worries me the most, even middle-class Malays are now choosing to send their children to private international school, where they need to spend 25% of their net monthly salary on your children's education. It's damn worrying. But when you go to parliament, oh, tak boleh kekalkan sistem sama. Saddiq, kamu ni apologies DAP nak hancurkan pendidikan Islam. Really, if you want to argue with them, I get so frustrated. I remember in cabinet, I actually asked, where do you send your children to? Where do you send your grandchildren to? The same people who want to perpetuate the same divisive system are the ones who don't even have faith to send their children, grandchildren through the same schooling system. So, just to briefly summarize, in my very short time span, youth and sports is the smallest ministry. But what I can say today is that in that short time span, when BTN, Biro Tata Negara, is one of the biggest patronage network, if I wanted to be the most popular Bersatu minister, I would have retained it. BTN from Prime Minister's office was moved to Youth and Sports Ministry. It had tens of millions at the minister's disposal. In the first 3 months, I removed BTN completely. And this is coming from a Malay party. What was it replaced with? Malaysia Future Leader School, multiracial, bipartisan. I invited all state ministers or EXCO members to be involved, whether in government or opposition. And until today, the replacement mechanism, after 3 ministers, are retained. I removed. I had to remove it because I was a victim of BTN. If you ask your children or grandchildren who had gone through BTN, it's not the same in the 1980s, 1990s. When I went to BTN in IIUM, it's about showing posters of Lim Kit Siang and Tok Guru Nik Aziz as the biggest devils of Malaysia. I was lucky enough that I didn't get to see Hanayo as the Christianized, whatever, wanting to Christianize the whole of Malaysia. So, in the end, you just need to take some level of political disruption, courage, and shock to the system to change it. Because my fear is if there's no shock, you can change the government 10 to 20 times, the same people, same structure and same system, no actual change will take place. So that's why I think with GI coming in, with more parties coming, it's great. Why? I think constituents should ask their leaders, MPs, and party presidents, what is your stance on policies? How do you want to change the education landscape? My fear is if you don't ask these questions, really you'll get leaders who are wearing cloaks of progress, but in reality, when are in government, are unwilling to make that change. Because I know I received so much resistance to Undi 18, Political Funding Act. It took me 1.5 years to convince. And mind you, Cabinet empowered me, Majlis President Pakatan Harapan gave me the role to lead on this path. There were many things which took a long time because in the end, there are people who simply do not want that change. And these are the questions which should be answered before elections. Thank you.